I know that our Auburn community, a lot of people know about Gold Hill Gardens, but probably most don't know how it all started.
We moved out of a 2,600 square foot nice home in Granite Bay into a 24-foot Terry trailer. With our two kids were little, they were probably 3 and 5. We should have our permit in 3 to 6 months. Took us 3 years to get our permit.
And why is that?
You have to notify the neighbors around you, and we had one neighbor in particular that did not want to have anything to do with people out in the country. Basically said we were going to be opening a nightclub and all this stuff, and so they got people all riled up in the area. The one neighbor actually called us up and told me, "You guys have done everything you said you were going to do. We have no issues with your business, and if we have problems, we won't be calling the county, we'll be calling you. We have 0 complaints on record."
Is there anything that you can remember that's like an unforgettable story that happened at Gold Hill Gardens?
We had one wedding that was themed Kentucky Derby. Clients had thoroughbred horse on site. While they were getting married, the horse actually won the Triple Crown.
Wow.
And then they played it back, and you should have heard those people screaming.
If there's some people in the audience who are maybe like in their early 20s and they really want to build something meaningful here in Auburn, what advice would you give them?
If you can't enjoy what you're doing, why do it? Cindy and I both believe that we were put here to expose people to nature. Something about being in nature gets you closer to being with God.
All right, Mike, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. What I want to start with is I know that our Auburn community, a lot of people know about Gold Hill Gardens, but probably most don't know how it all started. So the question for you is if you can tell a story about how Gold Hill Gardens started,
Okay.
how it came to be.
Okay. So my wife and I have 2 children, a boy and a girl. And we lived in the Roseville area, Roseville and Granite Bay. And we wanted to get the kids into a better atmosphere for raising them and whatnot. And so we actually took a tour of the whole western states because we thought about moving out of the state. And so we went, up into Oregon and Washington and across to Idaho and Wyoming and Montana, and then back down through Utah, Colorado and Utah, Nevada and back here. And it was about a 3-week trip. And we just realized what a great climate and area that California was. And we liked the greater Sacramento area. So we decided to start looking around properties here locally. And we ran across listed as 36 acres where we currently are. We ended up buying. But what solidified it for us is we took a trip to British Columbia. We toured Bouchard Gardens. Have you ever heard of Bouchard Gardens?
No.
It's a large botanical garden. And we just realized that our passion was nature and gardening. And so we ended up buying the property. It had a little, what they called a miner's cabin. And so we moved out of a 2,600 square foot nice home in Granite Bay into a 24-foot Terry trailer. With our 2 kids were little, they were, probably 3 and 5.
Wow.
We lived in the trailer for almost a year while I refinished the miner's cabin so we could live in it. It was only 700 or 800 square feet.
Mm-hmm.
And then we ended up buying the property, and we sold our place in Granite Bay. We lived in that little miner's cabin for 6 years. And then we built the house, it's about 4,300 square foot home in 2002. And the kids grew up and went off to school, and we'd like to do a lot of entertaining and stuff. And we'd landscaped around the house a lot. We put the pool in 2004. And so we were doing a lot of entertaining and stuff. And after the kids moved out around 2010, we decided, what do we do now with the property? There's a lot of maintenance, and we wanted to continue to expand the gardens. And so we had a good friend of ours that worked for the flower farm. And so she said, why don't you guys look into doing, an event center, something where you can host events and do those kinds of things. And so we did. We actually met with the owners of Flower Farm and they were very, very nice. And we found out that the zoning was an allowable use. We could put that in. So we started the process of getting a permit. It was considered a minor use permit at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And we were told that it was an allowable use, that we should have our permit in 3 to 6 months. Took us 3 years to get our permit
And why is that?
because we had you have to notify the neighbors around you,
Yes.
and we had one neighbor in particular that did not want to have anything to do with people out in the country. They had their little piece, and they wanted to live by themselves and not have anybody else out there. And they did a lot of negative propaganda and basically said we were going to be opening a nightclub and all this stuff. And so they got people all riled up in the area. And so it was hard to get our approvals. We went through the local max, and then we had to go through planning commission. We got a denial there, and then we had to go back to the planning commission, and we had to do basically almost a full environmental impact report. And then we ended up having to appeal to the Board of Supervisors. That's where we got our approvals. But
Wow.
it took 3 years.
So that's kind of how it is when you have a property that you want to develop into something like a venue, because I'm assuming that most of the properties in that area are zoned residential.
It's all
And
farm.
it's all farm.
Yeah, so it's the designation is FBX, and then the designation behind that is the acreage size. So we're 10-acre minimum.
Mm-hmm.
So it's FBX 10, and in that zone, it's allowable for wineries and breweries and farm stands and things like that. And so we got our approvals to allow for farm stay. So we have approvals to build 5 cottages if when we get to that point.
Mm-hmm.
That's still in the plans someday. And then at the time, it was called a community center. They call it event center now. After we got our approvals, the county put a moratorium on community centers, and they took 2 years and redid the zoning designation and started calling it event centers. And they also updated the general plan with that.
Interesting that like in the process like this, you can have like one neighbor that can stall like the whole process and make it difficult.
Yeah, and it was, one of the questions you asked in here is what was the most difficult season that we had, and it's not so much that it was a business season. COVID was obviously a tough time for us,
Mm-hmm.
but we weathered through it. But getting our approvals was really the most challenging component of the whole thing because of the negative propaganda that went out there. And after we got our approvals, probably 5 years into our business, we've been in business since 2013, so almost 13 years. The one neighbor actually called us up and told me, you guys have done everything you said you were going to do. We have no issues with your business. And if we have problems, we won't be calling the county. We'll be calling you and just working with you guys.
Wow.
So it's been a full circle. And we have 0 complaints on record.
And is that neighbor though still there?
Yeah, they're still there.
And they're everything's good now?
Yeah.
Okay.
They stay to themselves. They don't like to get out and be part of the community or anything. They kind of like are almost like hermits and just live on their property and don't do anything with their property.
Yeah. So, okay, then you get your permit, and looking at what the property is right now, how long did it take to get to a point where you were ready to have weddings, different events there?
So it's kind of funny because when we built the house, that side of the property, that's the south side of the Doty Ravine, was a star thistle hill. There wasn't anything on that. It was just all star thistle. It didn't have any irrigation or anything. And so we put the house up on top of the hill. That was in 2010. Took us 7 months to build the house. And then following right after that, we started doing some local landscaping around the house. And then we built the pool. And that was in 2000. So 2002, we started the house. 2004, we had the pool done. And where the tent is now, the main reception area, that was my son's basketball court.
Oh.
So he was going to, he went to St. Joseph's up here in Auburn, And then Kendra for high school, went down to Loretto, and Jeffrey started at Jesuit, but then he ended up finishing in Lincoln. And so he played basketball a lot. So we poured the concrete and had the basketball court. And so we used to often had horseshoe tournaments out there and basketball and in the pool. We had people over all the time. We
Mm-hmm.
had a lot of people asking about, hey, could we do this event or a birthday event and weddings and things. So we started landscaping heavily, probably around 2003, 4, right in there.
Mm-hmm.
Initially, I worked for Kaufman and Broad and home builder, and they build a lot of first-time buyer homes. And at the time, 2004, 2005, right in there, the building industry was really growing. And so they would build model complexes, and within a year they would have the subdivision sold out. And after they're done with the model complex, they tear all the landscaping out of the models and they put them back as a single family home
Mm-hmm.
and sell them off. And so I saw all this landscape material getting wasted. And so Cindy and I used to go with my truck and trailer and we'd go dig it all up. They'd let me go dig all that landscaping up. So 90% of the landscaping around the house was all transplanted that we dug up from
Wow.
model homes and that kind of stuff. And we put all the irrigation in and got the foundation set, for the irrigation so we could expand. And so we have great water on our property. We get 13 minus inches of water from Nevada Irrigation District. It comes from the top of the hill. It's all pressure through a 6-inch main, so it's all
Mm-hmm.
gravity flow, so
Mm-hmm.
we don't have to pump it. Most people get 1 or 2 minus inches of water. The property came with a lot of water,
Mm-hmm.
so we've maintained that. And so we have, great soil and great water. So our goal is to turn the rest of the property into botanical gardens.
Wow. So, I mean, to maintain a property the way it is right now, I'm sure there's a lot that goes into it. Are you guys doing it all alone, or you guys?
No. So we did initially. We both had full-time jobs. I was a civil engineer. I did consulting, and my wife was a physician's assistant, a PA for a lot of family practice, and then she had ultimately ended up going to work for Sutter Hospital.
Mm-hmm.
And so we were working full-time jobs and doing the landscaping. And initially, when we started the weddings, we were doing all the weddings and everything. We have staff now. So we have a full-time manager who handles all of the operations for Gold Hill Gardens. And we just recently, September last year, hired a full-time groundskeeper. And so he helps us with the grounds now.
Mm-hmm.
But before then, we would try to just hire handyman service and that kind of stuff when we needed help.
So, like, let's say on an average year, how many events you guys have per year?
Probably on average 40 to 45. This year we're doing 52.
Wow.
So yeah, our permit limits us to 60.
Okay.
And primarily that's because we're on a private well. And so the state of California, you can only have groups of 25 people or more on a public well for 60 times a year. So I think the county is working on ways to massage that, to allow that to be more.
Mm-hmm.
But at this stage of the game, the state is the one that dictates that.
And how do they check that? How do they enforce that?
I don't know.
You,
Tell you
do
the
you have
truth.
to keep like some kind of record of
No,
no?
no. It's right now. It's just word of mouth.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just an honor system, I guess. But we've gotten close to 60 events.
Mm-hmm.
One year, I don't remember which year it was, but we were, I think, at 59. But we're at 52 this year. So
Wow.
it's a lot just
That's a
doing those. I
lot.
mean,
Wow.
because we're outdoor venue, our season really is March through November.
Mm-hmm.
So, there's several weeks in the popular months in April, May, and September, October, where we're doing 3 or 4 events a week. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Wow.
So, turning everything and making it all fresh for each
Yeah.
client is a chore.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's a lot of work. So Mike, I know like you're really involved with the Auburn community. And the next question I wanted to ask you, what is it about Auburn that you're willing to invest so much of your time. And I've seen you at multiple events, and a lot of people from this community know you. You're very heavily involved. What is that about this community that's so attractive?
So it's kind of funny because the uh, the process that we went through, the 3-year process that we went through, was really what connected me with Auburn because I was struggling initially on figuring out how to go about getting our approvals, and so I ended up becoming very heavily involved with Tuesday Morning Meddlers. I
Mm-hmm.
was an avid member there, going to those every single week, every Tuesday at 7 o'clock in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
So I got to meet a lot of people through the Tuesday Morning Meddlers and get to know what this community is made of. And there's just a lot of great people in the community.
Mm-hmm.
I ended up going through Leadership Auburn in 2013, and that also helped me get connected with the community. I would strongly encourage folks, if they're new to the area, to seek out getting involved through Leadership Auburn. It introduces you to everything it takes to be a leader in your community, and makes lifelong connections for you. So the people
The
really are
people.
what make Auburn.
Yeah, that's the one thing that I've noticed as well. There's a lot of people here that, they can be very successful in business, but they don't have this, sort of like pride. They're very humble, they have humility. I've interviewed a number of business owners from Auburn, and that's the one thing that I've also noticed. We've been here now 6 years, and that's the thing that stands out when I compare to where we lived before. Everyone was kind of like to themselves.
Hmm.
Of course, in America, our life is very like high paced. There's so
Busy,
much going on,
sure.
busy. Everyone's busy, you know. But yet there are people here that have time to sit down and have a good conversation, help out, connect you with the right people. By the way, I don't know if you know Bob Litchfield.
Oh yeah,
That was like probably the first person who we met when we, came to Auburn, and he was just like so open to connecting us. Oh, you have to meet this person. You have to meet Don Whitaker. You got,
yeah.
Doug Van Hout, and it's like, wow, like all these people. I wouldn't even have known that all these people exist here had not been someone like Bob Litchfield who kept like introducing us to all these different people. I have to agree with you. It's the people of this community that make it so special.
The other thing is nice for the kind of the region is the natural beauty and the water. Auburn is and Placer County is very fortunate to have as much water available to them as
Mm-hmm.
we do. You look at the Highway 80 corridor versus the Highway 50 corridor, and it's just a striking difference,
Yes,
because of
yes.
water and soil, and it's a very fertile area.
Mm-hmm.
The ag component is very important
Mm-hmm.
here too.
By now you probably hosted hundreds and hundreds of events. What have you learned about like hospitality? The reason why I'm asking this is because sometimes you see a business, they get established, and for people it's just business. They look at the numbers. They let's say they're profitable. To them, that's considered success. But other businesses focus more and are more put more intentionality in hospitality, making people feel very welcome there, and special, whether especially if it's like a wedding. I don't
Hmm.
know, like for me, when I drive by the place where we had our wedding in 2008, I still have like this
Sure.
interesting connection just to that spot over there because it was that day, that special day.
Right.
So what have you learned about hospitality?
Part of it is following your passion. And when you can do that, it's easy to be hospitable. You want to make sure that your guests experience the best that they can. And so you need to put yourself in their shoes and just understand that. It's also nice when people appreciate what you've created. And so that helps make it easier to
Mm-hmm.
give back more as well.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I've been to Gold Hill Gardens several times for different events, and I can tell that there's a lot of thought and intentionality that is put in that to make people feel like, wow, this is nice. You want to appreciate it. It's not just a building or a space, and then just like a whole bunch of people come through. Okay, next. Every time I go there, like I feel that.
Uh-huh.
So that's
Our logo is where love grows. My daughter came up with that.
oh wow.
And so we're always expanding and creating new things for people to experience out there and
Mm-hmm.
trying to make the events flow well,
Mm-hmm.
so we're improving things and changing things. Um, one of the ranch hand that he lived on our property for a while. His name was Antonio. He called it DNR Ranch. And I said, DNR Ranch? Why do you call it DNR Ranch? Do and redo. We're always redoing everything. I said, well, you have to make it better.
Yeah.
And sometimes you have to change things to
Yeah.
make
Yeah.
that happen.
So when you look back, what brings you more fulfillment? Knowing that you built a successful business, or that you built something that now serves the community at such level?
So it's funny because, people measure success in so many different ways. And for me, it's not all about the mighty buck. If you can't enjoy what you're doing, why do it? So you have to be passionate about what you're doing. You need to love what you're doing, and then it's easy for you to give back.
Do you get to hear feedback from the people who experience your venue for whatever event it is, and that does it you like give you like that feeling of like fulfillment? This is what success is for me, is having people appreciate this and come to this place and really feel like this place is so special. Then like, okay, I'm just looking at, I've booked 52 events, I'm good, we're good.
Well, no, you touched on it a little bit when you talked about going back to the location where you got married. It really is a special uh, gift to be able to give that to people
Mm-hmm.
and for them to experience that. So you're making memories. Giving back to the community in that way is great. Not everybody gets to experience living out in nature and having natural creeks there, and all that kind of stuff. So it's nice to be able to give people that experience.
Okay, the next question is there anything that you can remember that's like an unforgettable story that happened at Gold Hill Gardens? Maybe something that people would find hard to believe.
Um, so that's funny because I put a question mark on that when not really. I can't think of anything that's just totally out of the ordinary. We get a lot of nature animals and stuff out there.
Mm-hmm.
So I really couldn't think of anything off the top of my head that was way out of the ordinary.
Yeah, there were no like mountain lions
We've
visiting.
had a lot mountain lion sighting out
Oh
there.
yeah.
We ran cattle for a long time, and so I've had to help cows give birth, all that kind of stuff. So knock on wood, we haven't had any fire issues out there.
Mm-hmm.
So no, nothing really
Okay.
that I would say is, sometimes you have weddings that don't always go exactly the way you would like,
Mm-hmm.
but you just make the best of it. So you can't
Yeah.
please everybody all the time.
Well, at least like with our weather in California, we don't get something like an unpredictable rain that comes through, right? Like when you look at some of the other states in the country, or other
Right, they
parts of the
forecast
world.
stuff pretty well, so
Yeah.
you can plan fairly well.
Yeah, because I've seen like stuff where like people gathered, they're enjoying the event, and all of a sudden, like nobody forecasted like this cloud to come through, and it just comes down raining hard, and
Right.
everybody's running around freaking out. But that's the beauty about our weather here, is that especially during that season where it doesn't rain, you can plan ahead and kind of know for sure that, okay, we're most likely that's not going to happen.
Yeah. We've had some very memorable events. We had one wedding that was themed Kentucky Derby. So everybody came with the big Kentucky Derby
Mm-hmm.
hats, and the clients had a thoroughbred horse on site. They built a little corral with a little jockey that was in the colors of the bridal party. And
Wow.
the day they got married was the day that the horse won the triple crown, and they were recording it. And so we had a big TV setup down there. They worked with some video folks that had a big TV setup down there, and they replayed it while they were getting
Mm-hmm.
married. The horse actually won the triple crown,
Wow.
and then they played it back, and you should have heard those people screaming. That was very memorable for
Oh,
them, I'm
wow.
sure.
That's
You
awesome.
know, so
That's cool. Um, so Mike, this podcast is sort of a lot focuses on uh, maybe young entrepreneurs, aspiring entrepreneurs, people who are want to do something, big with their life. And so, what I wanted to ask you, if there's some people in the audience who are maybe like in their early 20s and they really want to build something meaningful here in Auburn, what advice would you give them?
two things. One, follow your passion. So find something that you're passionate about. Just take little bites at a time toward that. You don't have to jump in all, full bore with a business or something. Just continue working your way towards that passion, and it will happen. And I think the second thing is to live within your means. Don't overextend yourself to where it becomes a burden, because that takes away from the joy
Mm-hmm.
of what you're doing.
But there's others who say, well, if you have a business idea, go all in. If you can get, a loan here, if you can get some financing here, like, burn the bridges.
I would disagree with that personally, because so many times people go into businesses, whatever you might enjoy woodworking and stuff, and they don't realize that it's not all about the woodworking. You still have to have sales, you have employees. So all of a sudden, what your passion, what you thought was going to be this great business, becomes a burden on you. So I think going in diligently and pursuing something is better than overextending yourself and having it become a burden.
How would you suggest someone like find that passion, what they're
Well,
passionate about?
so if say you think doing weddings would be great, go find a part-time job doing as an event coordinator, or go volunteer with places that do those kinds of things, so you see the behind the scenes component of what you think you want to do,
Mm-hmm.
before you just jump in wholeheartedly on that. There's all sorts of ways you can get involved by being volunteering or a part-time job, to help expose you to the job that you think you might want to do. I just recently went to my wife's, she's an ambassador, and we just recently went to a new pizza place that is up in North Auburn. And I found out through that the folks actually went to work they used to work for Old Town Pizza.
Oh.
And they decided that, we can do this and we like doing this. And so they opened their own pizza parlor. So instead of just jumping in, thinking, they kind of worked through the grounds to say we could do this. And so, I mean, that's an example of that.
Yeah, yeah. So you've been part of the Auburn community for quite a bit now. If you could shape this community over the next 20 years, what would you want this community to become? Stay the
Um,
way it is or change something?
well, I don't think you'd ever stay the way if you're not continually growing and evolving with the world. You're going to become stagnant and die. So I don't think things can just stay the way they are. There's going to be population growth, whether we like it or not, and so you have to plan accordingly for that. Um, I've been on the EDC. I was on the fair board. So if you get involved, you can help with that growth, and open the eyes of people on making sure you plan for growth accordingly. Uh, I, we have such great things here with all the trails and the water that we have and the nature. Um, I would like to see it become a destination location for tourism, agritourism, and that kind of stuff, where people can come out and experience hands-on things that they may not be able to in the city or
Mm-hmm.
in their local community.
Do you see anything that's right now like standing in the way of that happening?
There's always going to be those folks that are the naysayers and those folks that uh, are afraid of change, I
Mm-hmm.
guess would be the easiest way. And so they tend to stick their head in the ground and want, nothing for that. So no, I don't know. I think there's with the people that we have in the positions that they're in now in the community.
Mm-hmm.
Placer County is, a huge component of Auburn, and so I think with the good leadership,
Mm-hmm.
and recognizing the agritourism the potentials that we have here in Auburn, I think we'll be fine moving
Yeah.
forward.
And I've seen this lately. There's a group of people who kind of wanted things to remain like, don't disturb this, keep it the way it is, let's preserve this old town, let's say, like, this town of Auburn the way it is. And then there's like people who coming in who have some ideas, who have a vision for something else. And sometimes I see, like, butting heads,
Right.
but I see more and more people who are, entrepreneurial, they have that mindset, hey, let's create this place like into this destination, and are heavily like they're just driven to do things. Like, I just recently had Dallas Drake, we were talking to Dallas Drake, and I talked to Reese Browning, just the people who are here active in business and are doing things. They all have this sort of like vision. Even Jordan Minyard, the Poor Choice and the Hillmont.
I don't know Jordan.
You don't know Jordan?
No, do not. I
Yeah,
know of Poor Choice, and yeah, they're doing great things.
yeah. I mean,
Hillmont's amazing.
they've created something where, I mean, if you talk to people who live, let's say, in Sacramento, they know about Poor Choice. They've created something where, I mean, it's a small coffee shop.
Right.
Nothing like, when you look at it, like, there's nothing really special about it, but there was a lot of intention put into that place, and a lot of people know about it and want to come back and visit on the weekend. Stop by there. That's the
Because of the
place to go
experience
get.
they have, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's nice. There's always going to be extremes on both sides for folks, and the term we used in the development world as a civil engineer, as a consultant for development, was NIMBY, not in my backyard.
Yeah.
Sometimes people tend to get what they want, and they don't want to compromise or have any conflict with that,
Mm-hmm.
and so they tend to just shun everything else off. I don't think that's a good idea. First
Yeah.
of all, I mean, growth can be a good thing
Mm-hmm.
if it's managed.
Yeah. Have you heard about the idea of like um, closing off Lincoln Avenue for just to
No,
allow
no, yeah, just
no,
pedestrians
yeah,
only.
just pedestrian only.
They've talked about that. When I was on the EDC, we talked about that for a
Mm-hmm.
while. There's been successful places that have done that kind of stuff. Grass
Mm-hmm.
Valley just went through a little bit of that.
Yeah, yeah,
And so there's pros and cons with that. It helps give you that small town feel. So
mm-hmm.
there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah,
And for people to get out and walk around is a good thing.
yeah, yeah. I agree. A lot of people talk about legacy and what it means to them. How do you view legacy, and what do you hope people will say about either Gold Hill Gardens or yourself, like, say, 20 years from now?
I would hope that Gold Hill Gardens could continue to give joy to people, and that we can come up with a way for it to continue after we're gone. My goal is to have the whole property become a botanical gardens where people can walk through and enjoy the gardens and become a destination location. I don't know that I really think about what people might think of me after I'm gone. I've never really had anybody ask me that or thought of how I'm going to be thought of 20 years
Yeah,
from now.
I understand. What things that kind of surprised me is that sometimes I would ask a similar question of a super successful, business owner, entrepreneur. And like, even I was at this event where Mike Tyson was there, and I kind of asked, the similar question to Mike Tyson.
Uh-huh.
And he said, like, I was surprised by his answer. He said, It's like, I'm just passing through.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think about that. I'm just passing through. Hey, like, there's these people who think, oh, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna, I want, while when I'm gone, I want this to
A
happen.
building named after me or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, stuff
No.
like that. But what surprises me sometimes, like someone who's like very successful, have achieved a lot, they say, no, this is how life is. You go like, and it doesn't really matter when you're gone. Like, it doesn't really matter if you lived according to your values, your principles, and you had an impact on a positive impact on other people. Then whatever people will say, if they say the truth, then that is going to
Right.
be great, um, because if someone says like, well, I want people to say this about me or think about me when I'm gone, this and this and this, but if you weren't living your life according to that, then that's kind of
Hypocritical,
yeah,
for
it's
sure.
hypocritical. um, all right, so the next few questions is going to be more like a rapid fire. And this is
Okay.
just for like, it's more like a entertaining, but I'm kind of curious to see how you're going to answer this.
Okay.
The first question is, what's your favorite hidden gem in Auburn?
Gold Hill Gardens, for sure. Cindy and I are both pretty active. And
Hmm.
so there's great bicycling to do. There's great trails. Hidden Falls Park is
Hmm.
awesome. I don't know if I have one
Okay,
particular.
no problem. Next one, best restaurant.
Again, Cindy and I, there's so many, it's just different types. We don't go out to eat a whole lot,
Hmm.
but when we do, we try to come up here. We like El Agave. We like Old Town Pizza. The Hillmont's great. So there's a lot of uh, even Max's at
Hmm.
Holiday Inn
Hmm.
is real good. So it's a nice, easy place to go.
Hmm.
Just sneak away and not have to be in the big crowds.
Hmm.
But there's tons of little places and great little venues. Club Car has live music. So there's a lot of good stuff here in the
Okay.
region.
Favorite local event.
I don't know if I would call it an event or not, but the Leadership Auburn program would be something that is a favorite of mine. It's a 9-month program, and like I said, it teaches you how to be a leader in your community.
Okay, but I kind of more wanted to hear like, sometimes like chamber puts on certain events for the
Right? They have the
public.
4th of July. They have the Festival of Lights
Yeah.
parade. A lot of those events bring a lot of people, and that's one of the things that is help making us become a destination point. Tevis and Western States, all those things, and we just recently got to help at one of the aid stations for one of the 100-mile races that they did. It's so exciting seeing those guys go through and
Mm-hmm.
um, you know, all different walks of life. People from Singapore and different places come to those. So
Okay.
it's really cool to see that.
Favorite local place to grab coffee.
It used to be Tuesday morning meddlers, but since COVID, that's changed like
Mm-hmm.
crazy. So Coffee Depot is good.
Mm-hmm. Favorite hike?
We hike around our property a lot. We liked going down the Confluence Trail,
Mm-hmm.
from the top down to the
Yeah,
bottom.
yeah.
When I was jogging, I can't jog as much anymore. My knees are bad. We'd go down there and jog that trail. It was steep, but fun.
Okay. A few more. One Auburn business everyone should support.
The chamber.
The chamber.
Yeah. Because the chamber introduces you to all sorts of different things. They have a great calendar. There's so many events happening in Auburn. And yeah, I would say the chamber.
So like, let's say someone just moves here, right? And they're a business owner, and they would hear this, go, introduce yourself to the Auburn Chamber. What practical ways would you say the chamber? I know you just said you can kind of meet other folks, but what are some other practical ways that the chamber can actually help a local business owner?
Well, um, you tend to get out of things from what you put into them. And so it opens up places where you can go volunteer or get actively involved in the community. Plus, they also have a lot of the newsletter and a lot of publication things that you can get the word of mouth out
Mm-hmm.
about your business and introduce you to other people that might need your services or that are like services. I believe competition's a good thing. So, we've had a lot of people say, "Oh man, there's so many venues that are looking to to be in the area," and I welcome that
Mm-hmm.
honestly because the more that we become recognized for those services, the more people are going to be drawn to that.
Yeah, yeah. So when you just mentioned venues, other venues opening up, um, is it right now more difficult? Let's say if someone wants to have a venue, let's say whether in Auburn, Newcastle, wherever the zoning permits,
Mhm.
in 2026, is it harder to get through the the planning and all that to get something approved, or has it become more difficult, or it's still the same as when you guys were doing
Um, well, I don't know how it could be any more difficult than what we went through, but it's since they changed the ordinance and through the general plan, uh, it is more segmented, so you're limited on the growth potential of your business based on the size of your property.
it?
And so I think it's become a little bit more difficult because of that.
Mm-hmm.
It's more restrictive.
By the way, are you familiar with this venue place? I actually do not know what it's called. It's right next to the Ridge Golf Course.
Okay,
It
no.
has a lake. There's a lake. I think it's like total like 40 something acres,
Huh.
and there's like four houses there. One of them is like really really big.
It's gonna be a
And
venue?
it's well, they're already doing some weddings there and stuff, but there's homes that are being rented out like Airbnb. Like the
Yeah.
property is beautiful. They've done so much work there. I
No.
forgot which family.
Is it in
uh,
Placer County or is it City Auburn?
no, it's in Placer County. It's right by the
Okay.
Ridge Golf Course, like over there.
Yeah, but the
Um
airport's part of that area of the airport is within the city limits.
it's within this.
The ridge is not, but that area of the airport is city limits.
I think it's Placer. I think it's not. I think
Huh.
it's already in 95602. And but anyway, I just wanted to ask you if you know that, because
I do not.
they I mean I've seen like there's some videos out there that I've seen on YouTube where they have like they're kind of drone shots of the property and stuff,
Yeah.
and it's I mean it's you can't even see it when you're driving because there's a lot of like trees and stuff that kind of like give this privacy from the road. But
Right.
once you like it's amazing.
Sounds beautiful.
um okay, just a few more questions. One place visitors absolutely need to experience in Auburn.
Again, Gold Hill Gardens, but um, I think just to take the time to go into Old Town and downtown, um, especially when they're doing events and things, they have, the co-ops and all those kinds of things. It's just a great place.
Hmm.
Hidden Falls Park is really nice, and then the canyon is
Yeah.
great.
I know we're going to wrap it up right now, but there's still one thing that I kind of wanted to ask you about, which it was not on the list. Um, when I meet someone who is like has a genuine heart open and they're doing things in the community, they can be successful in whatever that they're doing. Usually there's certain principles and values that are kind of like guiding them, to where they're at. Um, are there certain principles like in your life that you can easily talk about where it's like, yeah, these things I don't compromise, or this is how you were raised, or maybe this is something that kind of came to be a little later in your life?
Hmm.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
I think that you need to treat people the way you want to be treated, and I think honesty is integrity is very important. I've struggled a little bit in business with having employees because sometimes I tend to be too direct, and so I found myself having to back off the way I would normally be.
Mm-hmm.
I'm probably too hard on myself, but I just think integrity and honesty, and treat people the way you want to be treated.
The golden rule.
Yeah. And obviously the Lord, Jesus Christ, and whether you believe in a higher power or what it is, but we're all put on here for a reason. And if you can find what that reason is, which is your passion, um, it makes it easy.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's worth uh, to start searching, looking for that, being curious to know what is it that I'm meant to do. And I know I'm a believer as well, and I really believe in being in alignment
Yeah,
with what your purpose is. Really search for like what the calling is, and then put your life and align your life with that.
for sure. We all have. It's so funny because today at our Bible study this morning, we're watching this video uh, broadcast thing that they're doing, and they were talking about parables. And one of the things that they talked about this morning was the different walks of life and the different values, or not just values, but God-given principles that everybody has. Some people are very, very intelligent. Some people are very attractive. Some people are maybe a little bit mediocre, but we're all given a strength. And if you can find what that strength is and fulfill that strength, that's what God meant for us. And so Cindy and I both believe that we were put here to expose people to nature and give them that. It just is something that, I don't know if it's a feeling or something about being in nature gets you closer to being with God.
Yeah, I agree. Well, thank you so much, Mike. I really appreciate the
You're
conversation. Thank
welcome.
you so much for coming on.
It was my pleasure.
By the way, if someone wants to do a little looking into Gold Hill Gardens, how do they find
We have a
the
website, so goldhillgardens.com, and we're on Instagram. Just Google us.
All
Everything's
right.
Googled these
Okay,
days, right?
and we'll make sure that we'll put the link in the description
Yeah,
in the video. All right.
perfect.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it. If you've made it this far and want to support what we're doing, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are committed to making each episode better than the last. If you like this video, here's another one for you to watch. I'll see you in the next one.